You know, my grandmother was a very, very special person, of course, to me, because she's my grandmother, but she endured a lot in life. She went through the war in Germany, finally made it over to America. Her father, Carl Wallenda, really the patriarch of our family, brought her to America, and she started performing. Through her performing years, she performed many, many different acts, but really high wire, of course, was her specialty. She's been the inspiration behind a lot of my stunts. Matter of fact, you know, when I broke the world record by hanging by my teeth under a helicopter, that was an inspiration of my grandmother hanging by her teeth under my grandfather on a wire. So very inspirational in my life, very inspirational in the never give up attitude of my life as well. Through everything she endured, including in 1962 when the 7-person pyramid fell, her husband, she watched him lose his life right in front of her eyes. So, but she was a strong person, and I have gotten a lot of strength through her and from her through these years and through these events that I've done. I owe a lot to her for sure. So she's going to be dearly missed by all of our family, all of our friends. She's been very influential in the circus world as well. Mainly here in Sarasota. She's done a lot of things for the circus world to be able to keep animals in their backyard, to be able to set up our riggings in practice. She was very, very inspirational in making sure that those rules and laws and ordinances were passed where we were grandfathered in. So she's somebody that won't just be missed by the family, but really will be missed by you know, the entire circus community and people inside and out of that community.
Mm-hmm. And what did she die from?
You know, my grandmother had went through several different forms of illnesses. Specifics, I'm not sure of the exact specifics, but she ended up passing away asleep in her bed. And you know, what other way would we want to pass away? You know, it's heartbreaking, but we as a family, I believe, find peace in the fact that she's not suffering anymore. She was with hospice for the last couple months, and you know, now she's laid to rest. And I think that I find my strength and my peace in that. And I remember for I remember her for how great she was and how great of a person she was and how strong she was as an individual.
Okay, what would you say was her most outstanding performance?
You know, she was at the apex of that 7-person pyramid on many, many occasions as my family toured. As a matter of fact, the night that they were doing that 7-person pyramid in Detroit, Michigan, when it fell, she was going to be on top. And the other girl who was performing there with family wanted to hold that position, and my grandmother ended up agreeing to allow her to hold it. Otherwise, she would have been on top and been on top for that collapse. But I would say that was probably her biggest performance. But again, did so many things for our community, including being one of the key founding members of the Ring of Fame out on San Armand Circle. Many of our residents in the community here don't even realize that there's plaques commemorating all the greatest circus performers from around the world right there along the inner part of that circle. And she was a big part in making that happen.
Okay. Okay. And how do you feel about her, you know, success and all that she did for the community? How does that, you know, have an impact on your life?
You know, my grandmother has been a huge influence in my life, you know, from coming to the backyard as my mom and dad are training me and her helping, coaching me as well, to be able to do the things that I do. But again, it's not even so much as the performing part of it, but it was more just the life that she lived, the things that she went through, and she still remained positive. She was a really tough woman. And, you know, that's, I think, more than anything why it came as a surprise. She'd suffered for a while. She'd struggled for a while being sick, and I never thought it would take her down. I thought she'd live to be 105. She's just such a tough woman. She would never admit to those sicknesses. And I believe that the power of the mind is very powerful. And my grandmother was such an example of that, of not allowing, you know, them to say, hey, you've been diagnosed with cancer. She never let that overtake her and overtake her mind. And it's proven through science, through studies, that those that remain positive can usually beat those illnesses. Now, of course, at that age, it's a little bit harder. She's very, of course, frail and older, but still, you know, as of probably 6 months ago, she was in the backyard on a wire, you know, very low to the ground, but just playing around with my cousin. And, you know, those are the things that I'll always remember my grandmother for, were the great things that she did, but for our community, but also the strength that she had and the power, again, the power of the mind. She was just extremely strong.
And I know you guys in your family, there's been some you know issues. Do you think that her death that brought you guys closer together?
You know, it's hard to say. We live in a very tough world. We are a competitive family, just like I think any entertainer is very competitive. I have been blessed to be put on a platform to be recognized all over the world. Of course, there's always issues there, but I choose not to even acknowledge those issues. I love my family. I love who they are, and if they have issues, then they have issues. But again, as a whole, of course, things like this will bring you together. But I've never wanted to be apart from my family. In lieu of flowers, my grandmother loved Show Folks of Sarasota. She was a huge part of that. It's a circus club right here in Sarasota on Lockwood Ridge and DeSoto Road, and she would want donations to go there instead of flowers. So if you go to showfolks.com, there actually will be a link that you can click on and make donations in her honor, and then we're going to do something special that will permanently remember a memorial of her in the club there that'll last forever.